An IRA is an investment in your financial future. An exercise routine is an investment in your health. And your brand is an investment in the future of your business. On today's podcast, we discuss how a well-developed brand is worth its weight in gold.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. I am Bill with W Property Photography.
I am Justin with Justin Kerr Design.
I'm Alicia with the Spark Social.
And together we make up
the Marketing Essentials team.
And Alicia fell asleep on that one again.
I'm sorry, guys, but I'm here. Marketing
here.
Essentials.
Go Marketing Essentials. Yay!
Just coming in late.
Yeah, all right. For those of you who don't know, this is towards the end of our podcast day when we're doing this podcast. So, sometimes that happens. But anyway.
All right. So what are we here to talk about today, Justin?
We're here to talk about branding from the point of view of looking at it as an investment rather than an expense. We've talked in other episodes about marketing and how a lot of clients look at it as an expense that, maybe I could do without. And yeah.
At your own peril.
Well, it's, as a business owner, I understand there's a lot of things that you have to, take on that are expenses. If you have an office space and if you've got equipment and if you've got payroll, these are...
Those expenses add up quick.
Yeah. So you're looking at marketing going, do I really need to do this? So I've talked to a lot of my clients, in regards to developing a brand, and they oftentimes will look at it the same way. And I have to educate them a little bit that, no, this is an investment. And here's why it's an investment. So these are some of the things that we're going to talk about today in this episode.
Okay. Well, let's get into it, shall we?
Okay.
So what's the first thing that we're going to talk about as far as branding and the investment in branding?
Well, I think we probably should start with getting a big picture of what is a brand and what does it mean to your business.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it's more than just a logo. It's the sum total of the experience that someone has with your product or service. And internally, it's also the total of your company's mission, vision, and values. Okay. So
that's a lot of words altogether here.
Yeah. Mission, vision, and values.
And values. So your brand is the message of your company. It's the mission that you've taken on. It's your why. Okay. Your brand also comes out of your vision, the destination that you've selected for your business. Where are you going? And then the values, the things that you put in place as sort of guidelines or guardrails to going forward on your mission towards your vision. See how they kind of work together?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Now, your brand comes out of that because your brand is how people experience you. So you have a particular mission and vision and values. You operate in a certain way. You project a certain personality. You project a certain attitude towards your clientele, and that becomes your brand. So it's not just, the logo is part of it. Certainly part of the visual brand.
Sure.
But it's just one very small part. It'd be like if you went into a car dealership and you said, I just want to buy a steering wheel. And be like, well, why? Well, because I've heard that's all I need is a steering wheel. Like, well, there's more to it than that. If you're looking to get from point A to point B, you're going to need more than a steering wheel.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why your brand is an investment, because it permeates so much of your organization. And not just where it is now, but where it's going to be in 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's definitely a worthwhile investment. That's big picture. But what I wanted to talk about specifically is three things. So your brand as an investment, because it's a base for the growth of your company. All right. If you think about, you're just starting out, right? There's a lot of things you have to put in place to get a business off the ground.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Right. Ton of stuff. But making sure that you've got a mission statement, you've got a vision, and you've got values, developing those things, that's an important part of the foundation of your business. Right?
Okay.
Should really be part of any business plan.
Okay, I agree.
Because not only does it define what your company is, but it also defines on where it's going and how you're going to do your marketing and how you're going to present yourself to the public. So think about the brand as a base, all right? Now, a $50 logo and some cheap business card is not a brand.
You mean it can't go to Vistaprint? I mean, we're not supposed to call anybody out like that, are we? Sorry.
Vistaprint, they're quite popular, and they do provide inexpensive, printing. But again, you got to think about how you're presenting your brand.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Do you want your brand to feel cheap, or do you want people to have that perception? Right? You hand them a business card that's got a perforation around the edge.
Oh gosh, no!
Part of a larger sheet.
Do they still sell those?
Yes, they do. You can still get them at Staples.
Thankfully, I can't remember the last time I got one of those from somebody, but I'll take your word for it.
But you think about it, you receive a card like that from somebody, it says something about your brand.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Versus our cards, which are from another vendor, which have a really nice finish to them, right? A really nice weight to them. Mm-hmm. And I've had people make comments on your cards, my cards. Yeah. I've seen people fondling the cards.
Well, yeah, I remember us being at a networking event one time, and I handed out some of my cards, and you're like, "Bill, look, they're all doing this with your cards." And for those of you who can't see, I'm rubbing my fingers together, but they were literally doing that. They were trying to figure out why it was it felt the way it did.
So that's perception.
Sure, it is. Right? It's a big deal, yeah.
And we had James Kwan on here not too long ago, and he was talking about building a business, and he was talking a little bit about brand, and he says, with the right website, you can look bigger than you are, right? Again, perception.
Absolutely.
We were just having a conversation prior to jumping into this episode, talking about wedding planning.
Because somebody's getting married.
That's right.
We haven't talked about that yet. Should we kind of spill the beans on this one, seeing that it's going to be out in April by that point?
By the time this comes out, she'll have
I may have gone to Vegas and just.
I think the beans have already been spilled by now, but that's okay. Our very own Alicia is getting married.
Thanks, baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But the conversation we're having was about, some of the wedding plans and looking at some of the vendor websites and how you can look at the website and you can tell right away, oh, this is going to cost me a fortune.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because of the way the website looks. Or do these guys even know what they're doing?
Yeah. Two very different perceptions based off their brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and let me tell you, having come from the wedding photography business, weddings are big bucks, and obviously, Alicia, you're finding that out now as you're looking at stuff.
Yes, I am.
And people's perception of who you are, they already know. Most brides know they're going to be spending a decent amount of coin.
I should say most brides' fathers know they're going to be spending a decent coin. Now, Alicia may be the exception, but
anyway, most people. Let's just do a generalization. Most people realize that they're going to spend some decent money to do a wedding upright. And the wedding field, period. I don't care what type of vendor service you offer. You need to show yourself as being a top-notch, well-branded, well-oiled machine. Otherwise, you're not going to get the money you're asking for.
Right.
Yeah,
you're not going to do it. It's just.
And I think all weddings are expensive these days, but you can definitely see the difference between one venue and the next based off of how they are positioning themselves with their brand. This, in my case, was a particular vendor. And so I knew some of the pricing going in. I'm not going to name the vendor, but I knew some of the pricing. And let's just say it was not a small price tag for the service I was looking at. It's a big deal what we're hiring them for, right? You get one shot on this day. Yep. And I had been recommended, and I went to their website. They don't have a logo. The website is half broken. The photography is
iPhone. There's no doubt in my mind. She showed it to us before we started, but yeah.
And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to trust these people to do a good job. And I'm also frustrated as a consumer because I can't see great, visuals and pictures. And I'm like, do these people even take their business seriously? Because they don't have a brand. There's no brand.
Yeah, having seen what you're talking about, you're absolutely right. There's no presence. Did you even look to see? I don't know if we looked at them. We can always cut this out if need be, but do they have a Facebook page? Does that business?
Yeah, and there's no brand. There's no professional photography. There's no logo. It's just very kind of like, it looks like someone's, high school kid put it together and they maybe opened up this wedding service, like last week. And so that doesn't really make me want to do business with them because to me, there hasn't been an investment in their brand to show that they're in business. They have like this, an investment in their business through their branding. Like they're dedicated to their business because they've taken the time to have a logo and a proper working website and whatnot. So,
right. So definitely, it pays to start right at the ground level and build a proper brand.
It was interesting how you used a solid, I like to think of it as almost like a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
When you're building a business, think of it as a house, If you don't have that good solid foundation of what your brand is before you start getting into everything else, what have you got?
Right. I have this infographic and I'll share it in the show notes, but it's about lead generation. So a lot of like businesses come to me and they're like, we want lead generation. We want Facebook. We want Google. But if they're branding, we want all the leads. We want all the leads. They're like, they're crazed. They're watering at the mouth. Like, give me the leads. And I'm like, okay, let's take it back a notch here.
Take it back a step.
And you're looking at their website and you realize very, very quickly that they have not done their homework. They have not started with their strategy and branding. They have no visual brand. Their logo looks like it came off Fiverr or something like that. And you're just thinking, me in my position, I'm thinking, I'm going to put these people out to market and their campaigns are going to perform very poorly because people are going to quickly realize that they're not a real, like they don't look legitimate, because, I have the solar companies contacting me for leads. I have home services like construction workers and kitchen designs. And, what are the chances of us doing a Facebook campaign and someone's like, yeah, this guy looks like he maybe works out of his garage, but I'm going to hire him to do a $40K kitchen remodel. Like,
it's one thing. It's one thing if you're looking at like say an oil change facility, you might be able to get away with something a little less polished as far as the branding.
Okay. Yeah.
But I agree. But if you're talking something that's, going to be high dollar, people want to know that they're getting some value for their dollar.
Yeah.
And like you said, Justin, the very first thing people go on is their perception.
Yes.
That's right.
If you walk into a business meeting and you're a lawyer and you walk in with a Tommy Bahama shirt and board shorts and flip-flops, that's how you're not going to get hired probably.
Yeah. And I don't even think it has to do with high
perception,
high service or high price tag items, because when you were talking about the business cards before, Justin, I thought of Need Donuts business cards. These things are gorgeous. They are embossed gold foil, heavy stock, custom design, graphic. Their logo has been designed. And so when I go to Need Donuts, I don't mind dropping $4 for a donut. I'm going to get a donut wall for my wedding. But like, I don't care what I do. I want a donut wall. It'll just be me and Nick at town hall, but I'm getting a donut wall.
I'm sneaking in there somehow, just so you know.
But I'm going to trust them with my wedding, but I also would go there and pay, $3-4 for a donut or a croissant versus, there's this place on Route 1 in Attleboro where they're a donut shop, but you can also pick up your pack of Marlboros and your lottery
tickets. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
There's no branding, and you don't.
Is that the one that says lottery on the outside of the building?
And I would, if they said $3-4 for a donut, I'd be like, what?
Again, it goes back to that perception. I know. I think we're, going down that road of chasing what perception is, but I think if you don't have perception, then the next steps don't become any easier.
Right.
So the next thing you have on here is direction and focus.
Right. So
what does that mean?
Well, this is, still talking about, mission, vision, and values. So do you know where your business is going? Right. So this is where I suffered a few years ago. And, I had started the business and I had already a decent body of work, and I knew I had to put together a website. So I did. And I had my work in there, but I wasn't branded. Right. I look like every other penguin standing on the iceberg. Right.
Yep.
And, we've told this story in other episodes of the podcast, but it took someone from the outside to say, hey, we've seen your brand and it's kind of generic and nowhere. The work looks good, but we don't get a sense of
very vanilla.
Right. There's no sense of how you're distinctive from anybody else. You're absolutely right. So, last summer, rebranded and has made a big, big difference in how I'm perceived. But more than that, going through the process of that made me think about, where am I going, right? Where do I want to be in 10 years, right? How am I perceived now? How do I want to be perceived? And where am I going? So that process forced me to think about those things. And now when I talk to people, I can be very confident about telling them why I do what I do and where I'm going with it. Sure. And then they can very quickly decide for themselves, hey, are we a good fit or are we not a good fit? And that's really what you want, because you don't want to work with a bunch of non-good fit clients, right?
Yeah, nothing worse than getting into a project and realizing we are not meshing on this project,
Right.
Because you don't have that upfront figuring out what people are, whether you are a good fit with one another. So
Right. You don't want that ambiguity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I also think, like, when you can think ahead like that, you're marketing yourself for who, like, what and who you want your business to be in the future, not necessarily like, this is where I'm at. I'm just starting out, so I have to work with bottom of the barrel clients or something like that. So because you had helped us, Justin, with our branding, and that exercise really helped me think about my company in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so now when I think about the Spark Social, we're not a 15-team person right now. But in my mind, that's what we are, and that's what we will be, because you've helped us develop. And like, so that, that's beyond like the visuals and stuff. We invested in the visuals because we want that to reflect, but you also helped us paint that picture of where we were going. And now I perceive myself like that. And that's I hope we attract clients that can see us as, we're not an overnight social media company. We're here to stay. Right.
Or you're not, some couple of part-timers, just working out of your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute. I work out of my house. Hold on here.
But you're not part-time.
I do work out of my house sometimes too.
Anyway, sorry. I was just
nothing wrong with working out.
I work out of my house sometimes too.
Yeah. Okay.
But
anyway, so
I was talking recently with it was a client of mine actually who works in the real estate field, and we were going through the branding process, and I said, what's one of your biggest pain points? And we were talking about competition. She goes, really? One of the biggest things that bugs me is that there's a lot of people in this field that don't take it seriously. They just kind of do it part-time on the side and think, get a sale here, get a sale there, and that'll be fine. And she's like, I'm in this with both feet. I'm in this completely and fully. And you could tell, I wouldn't have worked with her if she wasn't, passionate about what she does and really good at what she does. But I can understand her complaint about, a lot of the people that are around her are just kind of phoning it in, you know, and kind of goes to your point. It's like, hey, we're serious. We know where we want to go. And we're already operating with that in mind, right? This isn't something this is not a side hustle.
Okay, yeah. And I think a lot of businesses don't ever take that into account. It's not where you are, but where you want to go. And that needs to be part of your brand.
Absolutely. So the last point after base for growth and direction and focus is an identity for your business. So
how does that differ from what we were just talking about as far as the brand? I just sort of lost my train of thought.
It plays in. We talked about some of it previously, but it's your why. Why do you exist, right? We just did an interview with branding strategists, and she said that she doesn't ask people what they do anymore, but she asks them how they help people, right? And that goes right to the why. It's like, well, why do you exist?
Right. Because if you ask me what I do, I would say something like, oh, we're a social media company. But if you ask someone how you help them, then you get more to the core of the why. So it's like, how do you help people? We help small businesses grow with creative marketing on social. So it's more like, I think you should, actually, this is a good question. Once you develop like your why, should you go back and like continually work on it? Is it something that can change and grow as you Or is it just like this one statement? You should get it tattooed on your arm. This is my why.
Don't ever tattoo it. No.
Well, that's actually a very good question. And I'll answer it like this. I rarely, I think, people's whys change. How they carry that why out might change.
Ah, that's very insightful.
So I happen to know your guys' why because I helped you discover it. And, doing good socially, I don't think is limited to the way you're working right now. Mm. I could see this being applied in other ways and in other areas. So when I work with my clients and we kind of go through this journey, often the why is sort of detached from any particular
product or service.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's something that can grow with them. So just finished working with this mother and daughter team, and they've got a wonderful why. And they just happen to be working in the travel field right now, but I can see where this would easily become something that could go outside of the travel industry and be applied in other areas because it's that strong a why.
Wow.
So what interests me, I want to ask you a question, Justin, here on the second part of this. It says, your values are the boundaries for your vision and help you to say no. Now, as a business owner, it's really hard to say no, especially when you're first starting off because you're thinking to yourself, if I say no to this client,
I'm never going to get another client ever.
Yeah, and my family is going to starve to death.
Yes. What happens if I say no? So scary.
And quite frankly, that's a very real thought process in most of our heads. So what does this mean that your values are the boundaries for your vision and help you to say no?
Well, we talked before about, right fit clients. Mm-hmm. And it's taken me a while to understand this in my own business. But clients that are not a good fit for me actually end up costing me money. Okay.
Unpack that a little bit.
So
I'm not asking you to call out a client. I'm saying
there's this person named Fred.
Yeah, no. That damn Bill. No, I'm kidding.
No. If I take on a wrong fit client because, I'm thinking I need money in the bank, of course, which I do, they will end up taking up more of my time than a right fit client because they will question me on everything. Or they will ask me to do things that go beyond the scope of the job, or they will ghost on me, when I'm waiting for stuff from them. And time is money.
Absolutely.
So if, I'm spending all this extra time trying to accommodate them because we're not a good fit, and that time is money, they're costing me money.
Okay.
And they're also sucking up a slot in my schedule that could be filled by a good fit client.
Or possibly two.
Or two, yes.
Can I ask you another question? So I find in my industry, because we're creative, we're not as creative as you, Justin, but we still have some creative stuff that goes into what we do. Well, I'm not a designer.
Okay, but that doesn't make you non-creative.
I'm so boring on a scale of 1 to 5.
That's going to be another podcast. What's the definition of creative?
Yes.
If you went to just kidding. But basically, where I was going with that is that when I take on jobs that I didn't really stop to think if it was the right client for me, I find myself procrastinating. I find myself taking twice as long to get the work done because I didn't say no. And so that cost me money because I don't get through the work. I don't look forward to the work. I drag my feet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens to you, but it happens to me.
No, I've had that experience too. And again, it costs you money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does saying no look like?
All right. So if you have,
N-O.
I knew that was coming. As the words came out of my mouth, I knew this is a softball. Somebody's going to hit it out of the park. But anyway, sorry.
So if you've taken the time, and this is part of your brand, if you've taken the time to develop your values, you have a very clear understanding of what you're about, right? And anything that comes along, a project, a client, a business opportunity that doesn't fit those values, you now have a litmus test to go, does that fit our values? Yes, they do. Great. Let's take this on.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Let's avoid it like the plague. Because you now have you have those guardrails, you have those boundaries that tell you this is your path you're on towards your vision. anything outside of these boundaries is only going to detour you, slow you down.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. I love it. That's
So,
awesome advice, Justin.
If you've got the values and someone says, well, we'd like you to, work with us to do this and this and this, you can simply turn to your values and say, you know what, that really doesn't line up with our values. I really appreciate the opportunity. Why don't I refer you to so-and-so?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rather than, God, do we need the money? Sure, we'll take that on. And it ends up being a nightmare.
And we've all done it. It's just,
oh, absolutely.
desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. But ultimately, when you do get to that place where you can pick and choose your clients and go, yeah, this doesn't fit in.
Well, here's the dirty little secret. You can start picking and choosing pretty early because a bad fit client will cost you money.
Yeah, I know. I get you. I'm just saying, when you get to that point, I guess is what I was trying to say. When you get to that point where you're willing to pick and choose your clients based on the values. Mm-hmm. So like you're saying, the next part here is values help build a culture.
Sure.
A culture.
Well, as much as you can use values to externally evaluate opportunities, you can also use them as an internal mechanism for making sure that the right people are on the bus in your organization, right? And just like a bad fit client will cost you money, a bad fit partner or employee will cost you.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they'll cost you more.
Yeah.
An employee.
Probably. I mean, I've never had an employee, so I can't really speak to this, but I know, Alicia, you
technically have. You have a VA. And
I have a contract worker.
And if that contract worker screwed something majorly up for you, you'd regret it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It would be easier to part ways, I think, with a 1099 contract than a full-time employee. But yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
I mean, not even based off my own experience, but I went to a talk a few years back and it was on employees and morale in the workplace. And there's literally employees. So she put them in 3 groups. The ones that come to work and add value to your company. Yep. And they're just always going to be amazing employees and people. And then you have your middle group where they come, they do the job. They don't necessarily go above and beyond. And we're not saying like people have to work overtime or anything like that, but they're just like giving it just what they need to. And then they go home. And then you have negative employees and they literally will cost your company money based off of morale, culture. They take up other people's time. They're just not, they're less than contributing. They're contributing in ways that will ultimately not let your company grow. And you're better off letting those ones just pay them to stay at home, literally. Yeah. So, yeah. Again, back to the values. I mean, if you have a clear set of values, you can, as you're vetting people for hiring, you can say, do they have the same values? Can they line up with these things, And sometimes they'll self-vet, it's like if your values have created a culture, a healthy culture inside your organization, someone who's not a right fit will not be comfortable there. No, I agree. We ask people, I don't know if this is not probably a good example, but we ask people we ask people what they do for volunteer work in their spare time, or if they are part of any causes that are near and dear to them. And we get a vibe based off of their answers. On that one, because social and community work is important to us. The second one, probably not as important, but we ask people if they like dogs. Because we have a co-working space that allows dogs. So I think that's important. I mean,
it's important to you guys. So if it's important to you, then it's important to the culture of your business.
Yeah. I don't know if that was necessarily to be a corporate value, but
no, it's not a corporate value. But I think it relates back to
the person that's allergic to dogs.
Yeah.
When they look up on the wall and they see a framed portrait of Olive and it says underneath, "Our president."
Yeah,
you get the
Employee of the month. Yeah. No, I think the first one more so relates back to like doing good socially, because if you're out there and you are active or part of a cause, then we know that your heart is in the right place for the community.
Looking at a lot of these, what do you call it? Job postings, right? And because I'm weird, it's one of the things I do for fun. But
okay.
I remember seeing this like 25 years ago, and people are still doing it. And I don't know why, but they will list as part of the culture, would you like to work in a fast-paced, environment and juggling multiple things at once. And, I'm thinking, no, that sounds like hell.
Yeah.
Sounds like a stress-induced heart attack.
Yeah. But 99% of the postings out there will have that as part of like, I don't know, the culture or the benefits of working there. It's like, I don't know why people would look at it and go, yeah, that's for me because I need more stress in my life.
Yeah, sounds like a deal. And it's interesting
I think they're
that
playing to the fact that people get bored with their jobs, and that's probably what they're trying to very, very badly playing to.
Yeah.
But,
Oof, that just doesn't appeal to me at all.
I'm with you. I've read those and go, that sounds a lot like work.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I'm all about work, but to like list things that are automatically going to add stress to your life, it's like, just doesn't appeal
that's what
to
I mean
me.
by work. To me, when it's something you enjoy what you're doing, and I don't want to use that cliche, you do something you love and you'll never work again. You absolutely will work again. I promise you.
It just won't seem like work.
But it doesn't seem as much like work when you're enjoying it. Right. But much like you said, if somebody said to me, "Oh, how would you like to be in a fast-paced environment where you're juggling 16 things at once?" No, pass, thanks. Not really. No, I got my own things I'm juggling with right now. Anyway,
sorry, that was a bit of an aside, but
you remember working with us on our branding, Justin, and we just put out a hiring post, and Nicole went back in and she applied some of the voice that we developed with you. And
cool.
We actually say we're looking for somebody who has an attitude of we're going to rock this shit in our job description. And if that doesn't resonate with you, that is fine. That is fine. But
as long as you went past the has an attitude and just left it at that, it's a total different feel.
So a line from it, you should decide now if corny jokes, a bit of cussing, and a 24/7, we're going to rock this shit attitude is right for you before you apply. If that's not right for you, then that's fine. There's another job out there for you.
I think that's wonderful. It's authentic. And I think it's really going to help eliminate some of the people that are just looking for a paycheck.
Yes. So please send your resumes to Nicole@thespark.social.
All right.
And you know what's going to happen by the time this thing gets posted, this podcast gets posted, she'll have hired somebody already.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I'm just kidding. But it really speaks to what you're saying, Justin. And it just happened to be good timing that we did revamp our job description because I did it the first time around. I was like really boring. I was like, we're looking for a digital marketer, fast-paced environment. And that was me. And Nicole took it and she reminded me to bring our voice back into it. And that's big
good
deal.
for her.
Yeah, she brought it back, revived it.
So
all right.
I think we hit on every one of your topic points.
Thank you.
Yes.
So summarize real quick, Justin, for us.
So your brand is a worthwhile investment because it's a base for growth for your business. It will help set the direction and focus for your business, and it's an identity for your business. It will help form that strong culture that people will want to be a part of or not be a part of, but right fit is important. So the best time to start doing this was last year.
I was going to say yesterday.
And the second best time is right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us today.
Absolutely.
And with that, we've come to the end of another podcast episode. So we'll see you next time.
Are you trying to put people to sleep?
I'm sorry. No, I had a frog in my throat.
Okay. All of a sudden, it was like you went really soft.
No,
Sounds like Delilah.
That was me trying to keep from coughing.
Okay. All right.
So goodbye, everybody. Bye. Love you all. Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, you can find the back episodes of our podcast on Apple Podcasts. And you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Both of them are the Marketing Essentials team.
You can find us on the web at marketingessentialsteam.com. And if you subscribe through our website, you'll receive a weekly email and letting you know when each episode has been published. Also, you'll receive a link to subscriber-only content.
You can also find us on Facebook in our private Facebook group. Just search Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. It's a great place for other marketing professionals and business owners where we can share marketing advice, challenges, and general trends. Hope to see you there.